Okay, so let's try to solve our case A, holding period for individual taxpayer. So we have a data here. An individual taxpayer who is single has the following data for 2018 taxable year. See, we have ordinary income here, ordinary loss. At the same time, we have a capital gain on capital asset, which was held 6 months. I'll just use red ballpen to indicate or to underline this one. Next, capital gain. Take note, this is a gain. Capital gain of a capital asset held for 3 years. Take note of that. This is a gain again. Next is your capital loss on capital asset held for 15 months. We have a loss over here. Okay. I'm so sorry, I'm just fixing the video so that you can hear me properly. Next is, we will now identify which among these items will be implemented with a holding period rule. Ordinary income, ordinary loss, we do not care about that one because they are not subject to your holding period rule. So automatically, this will be part of your 240,000 pesos less your ordinary loss of 40,000 pesos. This will form part of your taxable income. We have a 200,000 pesos bottom line here. We are not done yet because we have transactions from your capital assets which are not subject to your capital gains tax. For capital gain on capital asset held for 6 months, this is 6 months. In the holding period rule, for not more than 12 months, we have 100% of that. How about for 3 years? That is more than 12 months or more than 1 year. So this is only 50% recognition. And for your capital loss on capital asset held for 15 months, this loss excuse me, this loss can only be recognized to 50%. Okay, so that is a gain of 10,000 pesos. Let's indicate black for this one. Let's use my gosh. Next, 50% of that is 20,000 pesos. How much is the loss? The loss is 50% of 10,000 pesos, so that is 5,000 only. As what I have said a while ago, we can only deduct the capital loss against the capital gains. Is the capital gains enough? So we have a 30,000 total of capital gains, so 5,000 is way lower, so it is enough. So we can deduct the whole amount of 5,000 pesos. 10 plus 20, we have 30 less 5, so that is, yes, 25,000 pesos. This is a net capital gain. So if you are asked, how much is the capital gain for the year 2018? The capital gain here is 10 and 20, so that is 30,000 pesos. How much is the capital loss? The capital loss is 5,000 pesos. How much is the net capital loss? Is there a net capital loss over here? The situation tells that there is no net capital loss because there is a net capital gain. So this is a net capital gain in the amount of 25,000 pesos. Here is your net capital gain, the same. The question is, how much is the net taxable income? So you're asked of the net taxable income. Your income from your ordinary asset is 200,000 pesos plus your net capital gain for your capital asset, that is 25,000 pesos. All in all, we have 225,000 pesos of your net taxable income. That is your answer for case A. Easy or hard? This should be easy on this part. Now let's proceed to case B. For case B, assume the same data in case A. We will use the same illustration above, except that the taxpayer is a corporation. So again, the rule for corporation, we do not apply the holding period rule. We only apply the rule that your capital loss can only be deducted to the extent of the amount of your capital gain. That is the only rule applicable here. So that means this 100,000, this 10,000 rather here, subject to 100%. Your 40,000 here of gain, subject to 100% for corporation, and your loss here will be subject to not 50% anymore, but 10,000 pesos. For your ordinary asset, we have the same data, 240,000 pesos ordinary gain, less or ordinary income, less your ordinary loss of 40,000 pesos. So the same, we have 200,000 pesos for that one. Next, we go to your capital assets. So we have 100% of gain of 10,000 pesos. 100% of this gain, 40,000 pesos. And 100% of your loss, 10,000 pesos. Question, can the capital gain absorb the whole amount of 10,000 pesos? I think yes, because the total capital gain is 50,000 pesos. Your capital loss is 10,000 pesos. That means you have a net capital gain of, that is correct, that is 50 minus 10, that is 40,000 pesos. So how much is the taxable income? We just add the 2, that is 200,000 pesos plus your 40,000 pesos. We have 240,000 pesos. Now let's go to case C. For the case C, we have holding period and net capital loss for individual taxpayer. The new element into this case is your net capital loss. We will now introduce net capital loss. Let's see if there is a loss that could be carried over. So we have an ordinary income of 240, ordinary loss of 40. Technically, we have the same data above. So we are just gonna transfer it here. Please refer to your handouts. So first is your ordinary asset. We have 240,000 pesos less your ordinary loss of 40,000 pesos. Same total, we have 200,000 pesos. Next, we go to your capital gains and your capital losses. For this, we have 6 months. This is an individual taxpayer over here. That means we are gonna use the holding period. So 6 months, that is less than 12 months or not exceeding 12 months. So this is 100% over here. Next is capital gain of a capital asset held for 3 years. That is 3 years. How much is that 3 years? It's more than 12 months, obviously, so we're gonna use 50%. And we have a loss over here. How much is the loss? This is for 15 months. For 15 months, that is more than 12 months, correct? So that is only 50%. We will only recognize to the extent of 50%. Let's go over here. So that is 10,000 of a capital gain. And we have here 20,000. That's only 30,000. How much is this one? This 50% of 80, that is 40,000 pesos. Let's put it here first. Do you think the capital gain can obviously absorb the whole 40,000 pesos for the year 2018? This is only a capital gain of 30,000 pesos. Obviously, your loss now in the year 2018 is higher than your gain. What will happen to that one? That means only 30,000 of this amount will be absorbed by the gain. So we can absorb here 30,000 pesos. We could only say that this is a break even, I think, in your technical term. That means there's no recognizable gain and loss for this year, so that is 0. So how much is your taxable income? Net taxable income is only 200,000 pesos. Question, if you are asked over here, if you are asked of how much is the net capital loss that can be carried over. First, how much is your net capital loss? We still have 10,000 pesos, which is remaining. So this can be carried over in the year 2019. 10,000 pesos. We discussed a while ago that we have a rule of versus. That means 10,000 pesos will be compared to the net income for the year 2018. Whichever is lower, that will be the amount that we can carry over for the year 2019 as a loss. So 200,000 versus 10,000 pesos. Which is lower, 200 or 10? Obviously, it is 10,000. So your net capital loss for the year 2019 is 10,000 pesos. The net capital loss that could be carried over, or your NCLCO, would be 10,000 pesos. Taxable income, 200,000 pesos. Capital gain for the year 2018 is 30,000 pesos. The net capital loss is 10,000 pesos. And your net capital loss carry over for the year 2019, that you can carry over for the year 2019 is 10,000 pesos. I hope you take the point.